Oh,
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you happen to be. Thanks for joining our stream tonight. I'm here with Tim, N9SAB, Chris, Kilo 2, Charlie, Juliet, Bravo, our special guest, Mike VE3MMX. Just having a little bit of a technical issue, so we're just biding our time. Mike's got one heck of a repeater system that he's built here in Southern Ontario, and I thought it'd be a great idea to have him on as a guest. But while he's getting his stuff all together, we'll just sort of go around the table here and see what each other's been up to. I was out to the park yesterday morning. It was cold out and there was a stiff breeze blowing and I had stuff blowing all over the place, but managed to get a video shot. So more to come on that in the future. Tim, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
I'm busier than a whole hive of bees, my friend.
That's wonderful.
It is. It is actually.
Yeah. How's so the antenna business is still cranking right along, huh?
It's starting to interfere with sleep and things like that.
I don't know if that's good.
I don't mind. I love it. It's fine. It allows me. I thank the universe for giving me the opportunity to do something completely on my own and independently.
Fantastic. Hey, Chris, what's happening over your way?
I'm just trying to keep warm. You, my friend, are hardcore going out there in the cold and the snow and the wind. That's not me.
Well, he's got to do radio. He's got to do it.
I know. I saw that. And I saw how he had to explain his reasons why he changed his mind. I saw that. I was like, oh. But
he's got to do radio. You know, nothing's going to keep him out there.
That's right. So I will say I did get on the bands. HF has been open lately. I was on 10 meters last weekend and I worked New Zealand on 10
what?
meters. Yeah.
Nice.
And sideband of all things. It wasn't like FT8 or anything. I heard I saw it on the cluster. I said, let me give it a shot. I heard the guy. I want to say he was like 5'8". I was shocked. And I worked the guy with it was fantastic.
I'm hearing a lot of good 10-meter stories lately. Oh, and I forgot something too. Remember how last month I told you I was going to be on the Ham Radio Europe show?
Yes, I watched it. I gave you a positive comment, and boy, the guys just glossed right over it.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you share it?
What do you mean share it?
Well, the kids these days.
I just answered your question.
Share things on like Twitter and Instagram.
Twitter. I think I've got a Twitter profile, whatever you call it.
Well, anyway, whatever.
It's X now. It's not Twitter. It's X.
Yeah.
Hang on a sec, guys. I'm going to try to bring Mike in.
I'm not calling it X. No.
I don't blame you. I just.
Hey. Guys, I hate to interrupt, but I just want to go down through some of these comments because we got some comments coming in.
Here we go.
And one thing, sorry?
Here we go.
Yep, here we go. And I just want to make a comment that our friend Uncle Gunther from Germany, DK5ONV, I hope I got your call right. He said he was sharing the link. So thanks so much for that, Uncle Gunther. We got GSXR says, man, I love these names. That make a great password. Hello and hello back to you. What do we got here? Here's, speaking of password numbers, testing 1 2 3. Reading you loud and clear. The Idaho Hillbilly. Hey, nice. Hello from Idaho, and
nice.
Hello right back. Yeah.
So years ago, I played a harmonica thing in Yellow Pine, Idaho, which is literally 2 hours on a dirt road to get to this town. And a population of 36.
I love the name. The name Yellow Pine is, when you said the name of the place, I automatically pictured it, and it was pretty much what you just described. It sounds like heaven.
Beautiful area, and it's funny. They have this annual harmonica thing, and it looks like Woodstock. I mean, all these people can just descend on this town. It was like 2,000 people in that town for that week. But then the normal population is 36. So anyway, I digress.
Guys, I got to interrupt here. Check this out. Ori L, thank you for all the entertaining chat. Just put up a new 80-6 OCF from Tim, my second purchase. And my first contact was KB9 VBR, Michael, from KB9 VBR Antennas YouTube channel. Corey, thank you very much. That's
I
really
know
nice.
him. Yes, I know him. In fact, I just mailed him another one, I thought. Or it's either
Well,
just
thank you.
it's either just arriving or just left. I can't remember.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you very much, Corey. Really
Hang on,
appreciate
I see another name in there. Marty. Hello, Marty. NR3Z. Marty's from my old radio club down in Pennsylvania.
it. There we go.
There he is.
Hey. Yeah, fantastic. Nice to have you on board. Okay, let me just continue down the list here while we're waiting for Mike to join us. Neck from the Ontario CB Club. Hang on a sec. I clicked on the wrong one. We'll get to you, Philip. Hey, Neck, nice to have you on board. Thanks so much for joining us. Now we get to Philip, the troublemaker from Georgia. You know, I make some fun comments about Philip. I was thinking about you yesterday as I was out shooting my video, and it was cold. It was cold. And I'm thinking, you know, Philip's down there in Georgia in the winter, and he might have to throw a windbreaker on. But I've been watching some of your videos. You did some cool stuff with the tripod and the vertical I was looking at. I think I want to delve in a little bit more into the loop, I guess you were working on. That was pretty cool stuff. Anybody watching this, if you're interested in like a 2-minute video, this is Philip's specialty. He'll just put up a 2 or 3 minute video and show you an antenna project he's working on. A lot of fun. So hey, nice to have you on board. And I just want to flip down a little bit more because he's got another one here. The entire family is down with COVID. Oh Lord, I'm sorry to hear that, and hopefully.
I tried to send him some ivermectin, but he called me a trumper and hung up on me.
Wow.
Trumper. Okay. Good stuff. Let me just make sure I haven't. And I'm trying to go down through these in logical order, but also keep some kind of
control over this. You can try.
We got Mike. Hang on a sec, guys. Let's kick from studio. Kick guest from studio. But I'm gonna add Mike back in. There he is, Mike. Hey, welcome back.
He's in a different room than he was before.
No audio, as far as I can tell.
He's got a different angle. Same room.
Not hearing you.
Okay.
Turn on the repeater.
You're not breaking the squelch.
Okay. Keep trying on that, Mike. I'm just going to continue to read down some comments as we get going here. We got, where do we got here? Floyd, love this comment. The frequency is in use, but you are cordially invited. So thanks for tuning in. We got Bent Ryder. Greetings from Cedar Rapids. Well, thank you for joining us from Cedar Rapids. Hope you folks are doing well down there. Floyd from Nashville. Nice to see you, Floyd.
Good to see him.
You know Floyd?
Floyd and I have communicated.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us, Floyd. Let me see. Oh, we got that VE2FGJ. Listen, I'm gapping on your name. Please put it in the. I've watched a bunch of your videos. I love the stuff that you do. He's got a YouTube channel. Check it out. Really, really nice to have you on board. Thanks for joining us. I can't remember, and hopefully he'll drop it in the
VE2FGJ. Never mind.
It might be Francois. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Joshua Austin. Good evening. I hope everyone is doing well. SWL, soon to be a ham. Well, keep on going, man. Keep on going. It'd be lovely to make a contact with you at some point.
Yes.
Lots of it. You know what? You can do it. You just put your head down, and it's a hobby that will last a lifetime. And it isn't nearly as expensive as a lot of other hobbies you can get swept up in. So it's a wonderful hobby for all ages. Okay, next we've got Marty N3. You gave Marty a shout out earlier. We got Wade VA3NCA. Hey Wade, thanks for joining us. Good evening to you, sir. Okay, I think we got Mike back on. Let me just see if this is going to work here. Poor Mike. He was communicating fine. He was getting a little bit of audio dropout. I asked him to try the Ethernet cable, and he's been having a bit of an issue ever since. So, man, I'm sorry about that, Mike, but hopefully you get that straightened out. Okay, hang on a sec. We're going to try this again. kick from studio is what
Tim's asking if he's got the right PL tone. I don't know.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. We just
There he
We
is.
got you.
Yeah,
We got you. Fantastic.
I did the first time too. It didn't work.
Is it working now?
It is working now. Thank you.
All right, careful what you say. You got a hot mic.
Yeah, no, I'm using my daughter's iPad because my laptop decided to do a Windows update when we started.
Oh, Windows.
There's a
why
way
I
to
was
turn
breaking
those
it,
off.
because the computer is doing its own update, and I'm like, oh yeah, nice.
That's why I'm on a Mac.
That's
Oh, shoot.
yeah, you got that right.
There's like a 12-step thing you can go in there and turn off Windows updates, like
Yeah.
forever.
Well, of course, it's a 12-step
Yeah,
update.
it-
And you got to stand on your head and eat a bug.
Yeah,
It's
Okay.
worth it, though. It's worth it.
Okay. Listen, here's the deal. Mike's got a great story to tell us tonight. He's done some amazing stuff, but I just want to rip down through some of the comments. Hold your comments for a while if you haven't entered one in already. I just want to make sure I've recognized everybody that's left a comment and give Mike a chance to get into the stuff that he's done. So just going to rip down through some of these now. Give me a moment. Hey, Ryder has family in Wardsville trying to talk them into radio. How's the coverage there? Maybe he's
Wardsville's
talking
fine.
to somebody else.
You'll have no problem from Wardsville, even from Chatham.
You know where Wardsville is?
Wardsville is should be west of us here, towards Chatham.
It's in Ontario.
Yes.
Oh, I've never heard of it. Holy cow. I thought I knew the province pretty well. Okay.
Ontario's pretty big, Tracy. You know.
Well, you knew that it is. I believe me. I've traveled here and there. Okay, let me roll down quickly here. Corey L came back with his call sign Kilo November 4 Lima Foxtrot Echo. Thank you, Corey. Thanks for straightening us up. And we got Mike N2MAK. Tim's antennas aren't bad.
No, they're not.
Hello,
bad.
everyone.
Bad.
Good to have you on board, Mike.
Hey, Mike, I just subbed to one of you. Were in a group the other night. You had a stream with like 5 or 6 other guys, including N1NUG, who we had on our stream here. And I saw the stream and watched it, so I subbed to that. But I saw you in it. So anyway, just had to say that.
Okay, good stuff. I subbed to Mike a while back. Hey, listen, we got Rick. Rick, hello from KA0RLR in Omaha. Hey, nice to have you in from Nebraska. And did I read Jim? Jim, here we go. VE3ERY. Thanks for coming on board. Scout 75. Wonderful to have you with us tonight, sir. Okay, let me just one more from Phil here. Nurse Sherry K4SMN takes care of me. Good stuff. That's fantastic. All right, we've got VA3HIJ Ferguson. Hello from London. Hey, nice to have you on board. Scout, we've got, does he have the right PL tone? That's what you're referring to earlier. Yeah, we were talking about you trying to get on. How appropriate is that? Wonderful line, Scout. Let me see here. V2FGJ comes back. It's Frank. Okay, I guess Francois.
Well,
but,
Francois, you were right. That's close enough.
Okay, Rob Noakes. Hey, VE3TWM. Check him out on YouTube, by the way, because he often live streams some of the stuff that he's getting on his machine, and he's also been involved in some streaming of things like there was a special event from Signal Hill in Newfoundland a while back. That was cool stuff. Okay, Denny Luna, Denny it's Denny from Dayton, Texas, soon to be a ham. Keep going and come on back and tell us your call once you get it. Okay, low audio on guest. So hopefully you can fix that, Mike, if there's some kind of setting in the iPad. Well, and I don't want you to do too much because we don't want to lose you again.
Yeah, is the audio good now, or is it still too low?
It's still kind of low.
Okay, let me see what I can do here.
Okay, while you're doing that, we'll just get down. Chris Valentinos. Hey, Chris, thanks for joining us. I wonder where you're at. Okay, good evening from Florida. Hey, nice to have you on board. NY5E, thanks for joining us.
Looks like it is about right, but you know what? I'm going to do that.
Okay,
is
Roger.
that better for the audio? Is that audio better now?
Yeah, sure is. Okay, Roger, good stuff. Hey, Roger, good evening.
Who's it? You see?
We got Kyle, VE3MMX, Kyle in London. Hey, thanks for coming, Kyle. Mike Taylor, hey, VA3AZP from Brantford.
Hello,
stone's
Michael.
throw from where I'm at. Good stuff. Okay, John, VA3MSV. I think these might be some of your friends that are coming on board here, Mike.
We attracted a crowd.
VA3MSV.
I paid them to be here.
Weather in Nebraska has been nuts. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s. That's awesome. I'm not a farmer, so
I've got it here. It's 40 something degrees.
Send it to the Northeast, man. We're going down into the teens tonight.
No,
exactly.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna read a couple more, and then we're gonna get into it. So please don't leave any more comments, folks, because we got to give Mike some opportunities. Made some time for us.
Tracy can't resist. It's like catnip.
Yeah. Well, we got to recognize the folks that are here to support us, and we appreciate that. This year, we operated from my remote station for the Marconi event as VA3XXT. We had Raiza, and she was the one that I showed a couple of streams ago, guys. There was a photo of her in a sports car. Yep. She's really something. Eva and Callum join us. Actually, I'm unfamiliar with Eva. All right, let me see here. Brad Burke, good evening from St. Thomas. Hey, I was not too far from there a couple months ago making a client visit.
You met him in Dayton.
Brad? Okay, yep. Very good. Well, it's nice to make contact with you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, Rick Gardner, VE3UG in Brantford. Hey, Rick. And Forget Your Life. Hey, nice to have you with us. Looking forward to the IC705 videos. Oh, there'll be a few of those. I've already got a couple uploaded that are on a schedule. And Rick Rogers, gotta love Windows. Yeah, no kidding. As Microsoft loves to say, if there's a problem with your computer, it must be the hardware. Okay, with that, I want to get into our guest tonight. So, Mike VE3MMX, thank you very much. And it's wonderful to have you on board. I just want to tell the backstory of how I learned of you. And you mentioned Dayton. We're going back to Dayton. Hamvention. I haven't been since 2004. I made my first trip there last year since. And we were staying at the same hotel, and there's a buffet, continental breakfast thing going on. And I'm sitting there with a guy I came down with, and I heard you and the group talking, and the conversation was fascinating because you were talking about a repeater system. So you and I got to chatting, and I thought, this is a fascinating story. This would make for a terrific a live stream topic, and so here we are. And having said that, I don't want to steal any thunder from you. Please, could you tell us, maybe give us just a little bit of an idea about, let's like a very high level overview of what your repeater system is, and then sort of get into, how you built it, how it came to come together as it has.
Sure, absolutely. So the repeater started back in 1991 in Brantford. It was a 2-meter 440 repeater for a little while. We put a remote base on it. We put a ComShack 64 on it, tied that into, at the time, a 486 computer. We used WAV files to talk to the ComShack, to tell it to do things to the radios, to the beams, to everything else. We had a pretty sophisticated system. I built that years ago. In 2000, life changes happened. I was out of the hobby till about 2015, and Rick VE3UG grabbed me by the ear and pulled me back in. So I got back in. We went to Dayton. I bought a duplexer, and I thought, well, I know how to build a repeater. So I'm situated now out in the country. I built my shop. Everything's ready to go. My wife says, how come your towers are sitting on the skids out in the backyard? I said, well, I'm going to be putting that up, So we put the 96 Trilon up, and that started. And so started to build a repeater piece by piece, a UHF repeater. I added 2 meters to it, and I had these Doug Hall voters in a box. I broke them out. I started to put voters on the receivers. And then a very good friend who passed away, VA3HP, and I would chat at night a lot. And we were talking about 6-meter. He was telling me some of the magic of the 6-meter band. So I said, okay, let's get a little quarter wave out here. Let's throw a remote link on here, see what 6 meters does. And in time, with the help of VE3PPO, I found a duplexer. And with a lot of help from VE3PPO, put antennas up and so on. He's one of my very good friends, and was part of this repeater. And Marshall, helped out putting things together. So we got things started on the 6-meter band. I modified the duplexer, got that tuned up for 6-meter, So then once the 6 meter was working fairly well, we started talking about 10 meters. And Gary kept egging me on saying, why don't you get a 10 meter link on here? Put a 10 meter repeater up. So we had the sites, so I started putting the 10 meter together, and it was a learning curve. We started to learn how everything worked, how antennas worked. When COVID hit, I was, pretty much just kind of hanging around saying, well, I'm working part-time. I've got a bunch of aluminum in the backyard. I've got a few antennas I want to build, so let's see what we can do. So I started putting antennas together, trying them, testing them, and so on. And the 10 meter came online. And the 10 meter kind of grew little by little, and we tried different antennas. We did a lot of experimenting, a lot of testing, a lot of range testing, and on these antennas. And finally, we got them working. And then I thought, well, I've got a couple of voter cards here that are doing nothing. I'm going to add some link receivers, and I'm going to put in some external receivers for these repeaters. So we put that in. Then we started talking about, well, I've got high-speed internet out here. Why don't I put Echolink on? So talking to N3APP, they told me how to do it with a COM port and a standard computer. I looked it all up. I wired it up. I put Echolink on here. And we started getting people coming in on Echolink. And then VE3JCD, VE3PPO both said, well, why don't we put DMR up at the site? So we put a DMR repeater in here, tuned it up, got it working, linked it to a couple other DMR repeaters. And I thought, why don't we link DMR over to analog? Because DMR was very quiet. So we decided there are a couple of ways to do it, with a digital bridge, or we could do it with an analog bridge. Well, I said, why don't we take a DMR radio, a Motorola, the best vocoder out there, and why don't we take the radio and let it do the D to A and the A to D, going to and from analog to digital. And Marshall knew how to get me a core in the programming. So Marshall programmed the radio, got me core voltage. That's all I need. So then I put equalizers, audio equalizers between the repeater output and the DMR's input, and vice versa, because digital does not sound like analog. It's a totally different animal. But if I can EQ the audio, I can try to fool it into sounding analog. So I did that with the DMR bridge. And Tracy, when we were in Dayton, we linked up our portable Dayton repeater through a cell modem to the repeater here on time slot 2. We came out in London with our handhelds walking around the Hamvention Fairgrounds. So we linked the system, and while we were driving down the road in the van, it was on a cell modem. Our repeater went everywhere. We never lost communication with London, with the main system here once, all the way down and all the way back. And all of our friends that had hotspots in their car could then link in and then talk to people in London, on the highway, at the hotel in Dayton. It was all tied together. So that was the digital side of the repeater. Recently, we added All-Star to the lineup as well, brought All-Star in. So now we have Echolink, All-Star, and DMR. Every digital signal coming into this repeater from the internet isn't perfect. They all have anomalies. But to correct that, we use audio equalizers. And again, we tweak the audio till it's perfect with the EQs. So we make up for those limitations and vocoder anomalies. So now we've got crystal clear audio coming in. So somebody can come in on Echolink and they're going to go out on All-Star, DMR, and all the analog repeaters. They're going to sound perfect because that audio has been EQ'd on all the different digital platforms and the analog. All of my analog receivers have EQs on them so that we can make them perfect. Audio is very important. It doesn't sound good when you talk on a repeater and it sounds like a plug in your nose while you're trying to talk. Nobody wants to listen to that. So correcting the audio is very important. So putting EQs in between the radios and tailoring the audio worked out very well. For instance, we use a Kenwood radio for one repeater. We're using Motorola for another. Each of those two radios has different characteristics to its audio. Even if you use flat audio, there is differences between them. Well, until you put an EQ in there, you can't correct that. Put an EQ in, you can make it perfect. So the audio was important. So then, once we got everything working right audio-wise, voters completely aligned properly, we started working on the 10 meter a little bit. I started making the antenna better, putting it up a little higher. And at this point in time, it knocks me off my chair when I see how far the repeater has come. And even today, VE3TWM worked into the 10-meter repeater with an HT750 handheld from Calgary, Alberta this afternoon. He came in and talked to us. We're going around the world with this thing. It's actually competing with some very large repeaters out there. I don't know why it isn't on a mountaintop. In the picture to this intro for the live stream tonight, you can see my antennas, the rear right antenna sticking out of the tree. That's the tower that's holding the 10-meter antenna. That's our transmitter. And it's fascinating to think that the antenna works that well. It's a standard, 0.64 ground plane, but it's working very well. So putting that together now kind of gives you can go into London with a handheld and work the repeater because of our east receiver. You can go to Chatham, work the repeater. We have a west receiver. It's grown to be quite a system, and it's been a lot of fun building it, and it's been a lot of fun learning how everything works along the way. It isn't you don't learn this stuff overnight. It takes a lot of time and knowledge, and then you gain the experience. So it's been a lot of years playing with this stuff, but it's just been a lot of fun, and it's neat to see it operate now and how well it's operating, and it just makes me feel good to know I have something to come on here and talk about.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't even know where to start. There's all kinds of topics sort of swirling in my head when it comes to this. So you were mentioning to me on a call earlier this week about just all the contacts that people using your repeater system have made throughout the world. What does that list look like?
It's actually gotten pretty huge. We've had United Nations radio check-in 5 times now. We have friends around the world that are coming in on a regular basis on the repeater. SP3NNP, Ted comes in, OE5WHM, Helmut comes in. We talk for 20 minutes on 10 meters, like we're in front of each other with the FM sounding so clear. It's beautiful. I've got friends around the world I've never had before, and people in London and around that are within range of the repeater. I get comments all the time. Yes, it gets busy, but it's a good busy. It's nice to hear the different conversations going on and to know that there is so much ham activity around the world. It can't help but promote the hobby, because if you're a 2-meter HT person or you have a basic license, when you start hearing this stuff, you start thinking, I'm going to go get my advanced. I want to get on those bands. So it's actually promoting the hobby very nicely. And I'm really happy to be able to do that. I mean, it's my passion. People who go this deep in building this stuff, you've got to have fun doing it. And the outcome is just amazing. And I never dreamed we would have this kind of light shone on us, around the world to say, Canada's got a repeater. So it's pretty good.
So I would imagine there's got to be a pretty complex control system, I guess, for this, right? Like to have all these receivers and triggering transmitters and that sort of thing. So there's got to be there's probably a lot of homebrew engineering in this too, right?
There's a lot. So you're taking signals from 10 meters, converting them over to a link frequency, bringing them in. You have to make sure your noise floors are all calibrated, or it will not vote correctly from one signal to the other, because it's a noise comparator voter. It doesn't look at signal level, it looks at the signal to noise ratio. Okay. So if you have frequency response incorrect, you do not have your ground, your noise floor is set the same, it will not vote correctly. So all of this has to be calibrated. And then your frequency response. So we're using Motorola radiuses for some of our linking, Motorola CDMs for some of our linking. We're using PM1200 radios on our 10-meter receivers. We're using Kenwood TK690s on our 6-meter. We're using a mix of GE Master 3s for our 2-meter 440, a couple of CDM 1550 receivers. Each of them must be EQ'd. All audio levels must be set flat, set correct to the same as the one beside it. So I have to make a Kenwood sound exactly like a Motorola, or the voter won't see it properly. Right. So there's a lot of calibrating and adjusting and making it work right. but I get a lot of comments, especially in the 10-meter side, from stations saying the audio is fantastic, the audio is great. Well, it doesn't really come easy, but if I turn this camera around, I could show you my sound system in my living room. I like good sound. I really enjoy music. I like good quality sound. I'm probably, have a similar ear to Bob Heil. So I like good audio. So on the repeater, I like it when someone comes in on 6 meters or 10 meters or 2 meters and you can't tell, other than the courtesy tone, where they're coming from. It's nice to have everything set up right. So it's very complicated. The first voter system I put in was in Brantford in 1995. I put that in. We had a receiver site at Mohawk College in the Hamilton Mountain. We had one in Norwich, 200 feet on the grain elevators. We had a powerful transmitter in Brantford. We could talk halfway to Toronto, and we could talk halfway to Chatham on the repeater, or Sarnia, wherever, because of the voters. I really liked how they worked. So in 2018-ish, when I started putting things together, I started going through boxes, and I found the voters, and I thought, I'm going to be using these, I think. So sure enough, with everything the way it's gone now, I'm using them, and they're part of the repeater. And analog is one part of the hobby. I think it's a bigger part of the hobby than digital. I may be wrong, but nobody's making voters anymore. Doug Hall, I met Doug Hall for the first time in Dayton this year. I got 2 voter cards from him that were new old stock. It was really nice of him to bring me a couple. The LDG doesn't make their voter anymore. And the voters you would see, Motorola voters, GE voters, unless you find them at a flea market somewhere, you're not going to get them. So it's kind of a technology that's not used anymore. It's not really utilized. So, but for ham radio, for something like this, a project like this, it's a perfect fit. So there's Rick.
Wow.
We have, Rick is impressed. We have a few comments, questions for you here, Mike. Let's get into those a little bit. So first one up, Wade is asking, hey, what's the repeater call?
VE3MMX.
Same as yourself. Same as yourself. Okay. Next is Rick wants to know, what's the Echolink node number?
I don't know it off by heart, but if you go to my QRZ page, it's there. VE3MMX/R. If you want to find it, you can get it that way.
Fantastic. Okay. And Scout 75 chimes in. How many sites does Mike have for the antennas?
2 sites. So we have the 146925 repeater. Marshall and I just put in 6 months ago or so. That's one site out towards Burford, Ontario. That's separate from everything in Shedden here. VA3KRW, Kyle, has a farm not far from me and donated a barn for me to put a tower up against. So we've got a Delhi 68-foot tower bracketed to that big barn. The barn is huge. And we've got receiver antennas and transmitter antennas there, and we have them at my home here. So the system is spread out. But if it weren't for other amateurs offering, that type of a donation, it would be not really easily achievable, because where do you put everything? There is a duplexer on the 6-meter repeater, but there's also a separate receiver site for 6-meter. For the 10-meter, of course, VA3FEZ London has a 10-meter repeater antenna at it. We put a penetrator up on the roof of that apartment building. It's huge up there, but it works. It's 160 feet up. And the funny thing about 10 meters is that site is in London, voted back over here on a link frequency. The one receiver in Shedden is about 1.5 kilometers away from my transmitter. Of course, I have descents coming in. Well, not anymore. I built a 2-pole crystal filter, and that gave me the isolation I required to get rid of, any transmitter noise. I got 37 dB of isolation, so that cleared that up. So now I've got a great receiver out here as well. So there are 2 sites. There's one in St. Thomas at the General as well that does the 2-meter 440 receiving. So that's our secondary receiver for 2-meter 440. So that's our sites. That's what we're using.
Wow. Man, oh man, there's a lot going on there.
Well, for all of the climbing, all of the tower work, I do all of it. I would say that, in this day and age, if I had to pay somebody to do that, I would be bankrupt. So I'm healthy enough and strong enough to climb and do all the antenna work. Marshall VE3PPO, we break him out and he comes out and he does the muscle work at the bottom. He's a big guy and we get the work done, and it works out really, really good. So, without the help of other people, this system wouldn't be here, at least not the way it is. It would be much smaller. So with technical help, programming, physical help, the system has gotten to the point where it's at now. And it's just fun. It's all it boils down to. It's just fun. So you can take a handheld and be monitoring, and tomorrow morning, around 8 o'clock in the morning, you'll start to hear Europe come in. You could talk to people in Europe from a handheld all day long if you wish. And you could do it from Woodstock. You could do it from out here, London, wherever you like. The systems all have the other repeaters linked in. And again, the audio is matched up on all the repeaters. The FEZ repeater has an EQ on it to send the audio out here. You could go on FEZ or you could come direct in the repeater. You cannot tell the difference. The audio is spot on. So that's one of the things that makes it a lot of fun, when you can, the system is that versatile that you can move all over the place and nothing changes.
What's the mode on 10 meters?
It's FM.
FM. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Nice.
And the output, what is it? Sorry, Tim, go ahead, please.
You're getting FM signals on 10 meters, so from DX FM stations.
Correct.
Wow, that's cool.
Well, the radios on 10 meters are they're modern Motorola radios. They're PM 1200s.
Right.
The input sensitivity on those radios, I've never measured better on any 10-meter radio. They're a beautiful commercial synthesized radio. They stopped making them around 2017, 2015, somewhere in there. They're a hell of a thing to program. You have to actually tell them they're a Yaesu to program them, but they work. Right. They actually are a Yaesu in the beginning. Vertex made them, and then Motorola put their name on them and changed some of the firmware. But if you can mess a little bit with hex and do some editing, you can make them work. It took me a while to get them to go, but I got them tuned up. I got them aligned, and they're one of the best receivers I've ever seen for 10 meter. So the FM we have, and the beautiful thing about that is you have a commercial squelch. You don't have a ham radio squelch, which is usually audio. The squelch circuit in those Motorola's is fantastic. So, fortunately we were able to modify commercial gear to actually work. So, and they're great receivers. The audio is fantastic.
Yeah. I'm just impressed with the fact that FM signals are coming out. Actually, there are DX FM signals coming over. That's pretty impressive.
We do get phase distortion, but one of the things I want to do this spring is I want to make a full wave loop for 10 meter horizontal, and I want to put it up somewhere and vote it in as channel 3. So I've got 4 channels of voting for each band, and I'm using 2 of each. So on 10 meter this spring, I want to try and experiment. I'm tossed between whether to use a full wave loop horizontal or whether to make a turnstile antenna. But I need something omnidirectional, horizontal polarized, because when the signal flips in the atmosphere, we do get phase distortion.
Sure.
And I'm wondering if, when it flips, if it flipped over to a properly polarized antenna for that signal at that time, if the voter kicked it over, it would keep the signal clear and readable. Now, it won't help my transmit any, but it'd be pretty cool to hear the receive.
Yeah, good point.
One of the things a lot of people were asking about, and I should do a video on it, is I should video the voter, because there's 2 channels on the voter for 10 meter. London, which is about 22, 24 kilometers away from here, and Shedden. So both antennas will receive an incoming 10 meter signal. And I'll tell you something, if I turned off London, we would miss a few words in some of the transmits or reception signals we hear. We would miss a bit. If I turned off Shedden and turned London on, we would miss a bit. If I turn both of them on, you should see the LED fly over from London to Shedden when receiving a distant signal on 10 meters. That goes back and forth like one of them old police scanners when it's scanning. Sometimes the signal is that fast, the phase of the signal is that quick that it bounces between both of those antennas lightning fast. And that voter is on it. It goes back and forth, and it holds the person's signal in the repeater. So that makes the repeater really sensitive, because even though it's not, I guess the word sensitive, I guess it makes it act like it's sensitive. Yet, even though it's sensitive, one antenna will drop the signal, but the other one picks it up during that split second,
Right.
and it can go back the other way just as fast. So it makes the repeater act like it's got a gigantic super antenna on it.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Huh. Very cool. Very cool. Now, how's your Echolink latency on that? Because
the Echolink is fast. The Echolink is very quick. We have high-speed internet. Even though we're out in the country, we just actually had a month ago. We had fiber ran right to the house, so we're going to go even faster. But we do have cable internet out here. We're very lucky, and I have no issue with Echolink. Echolink did an upgrade about a year ago, and it fixed the audio issues. And I re-EQ'd everything, and actually Echolink is quite respectable now compared to what it used to be.
Okay.
But what we find on Echolink is a lot of repeater owners are not audio file type people, and they tend to use pre-emphasized audio, and it sounds like a tin box and so on. So an EQ in there would solve a lot of that. But if I run into that, I will happily glad to talk to the repeater operator and give them a little bit of information on. For about $20, you can fix that. The EQ is $11, and the power supply to run it is a little buck boost power supply is $4. So you can put that EQ in line, you can straighten that audio out, and it'll sound beautiful.
Nice. Huh. No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, there was a club I was in when we moved to Connecticut. The club I was in Pennsylvania. A couple of times I checked into the net using Echolink, and there was quite a bit of like latency. Like they had really had a they would have to wait a significant amount of time waiting for my transmission to come through an Echolink into the repeaters. So
I think from when the band opens up to Pennsylvania and Lee comes in, generally the latency is about 1 second. You know, it may be a second and a half. It really isn't all that much.
Okay.
I don't know what the latency is on All-Star. I've never actually done any comparing. Lee comes in on Echolink. He's linked his repeater in via Echolink. So I'd have to hear a local repeater linked on an All-Star just to see, how quick it is.
Sure.
But the All-Star, it's a little more complicated to set up, but the audio is beautiful. It's very, very clear audio.
Cool. Nice.
So that gives you a little heads up. The antennas on our 6-meter antenna, did a lot of experimenting with those, got that set up correctly, and then the 6-meter band's been dead. So we're hoping that we do see some activity on 6 meters sooner or later. But at this point in time, that band has kind of left the room for now. It's gotten pretty quiet.
It's usually like late spring, right? When that kind of opens up again, May, June.
Right, man.
Yeah,
I've
so
been
we're
waiting
waiting.
for activity on 6 meters for 10 years and never heard anything on it.
Yeah. Well, you just might. The cycle's going up, and I'm hoping. But 6 meter tends to be a little more sporadic-y than 10 meter. But time will tell. We'll wait and see what we get. But so far, it's been pretty quiet. Yeah, we haven't had the magic of 6. I think 10 meters is more of a magic band than 6 at this point in time.
Yes. Well, I was saying earlier before when you were trying to sign in that I guess it was last week, a week before, whatever it was. I was sitting down here operating radio. I was on 10 meters, and I worked New Zealand sideband on 10 meters. Here in Connecticut, down in New Zealand. I was like, man, oh man, that was a good one.
Yeah, last night, so around 6 o'clock yesterday, a station come in near Tokyo, Japan, mobile, and then about 15 minutes later, a base station come in from Yokohama, and he was absolutely full quieting. He sounded like he was right in front of us. So we got to talk for a while, and I thought the night may be over. I'm not sure. Around 7:30ish, ZL1 station came in from New Zealand on FM, talked to us a bit.
Wow.
And then after that, a VK6 came in. Now, he was a bit broken up. But interesting that I'm getting signal reports. The station in Yokohama said I was S9 plus 10 dB. We were right at the top of his scale. And I've had signal reports all over the UK. I mean, about 3 months ago, station in the UK, we were talking a bit, and he was live streaming it. So I put it on the TV. I let my daughter see it. My daughter's 14. His daughter was 12. She's a ham. My daughter isn't yet. I'm hoping maybe she will be. But the two girls started to talk my daughter was talking through the handheld to England, to the UK, watching Simon was his name, his daughter, Elsie, talking back to her through the radio, but actually seeing it on YouTube at the same time. And I said to my daughter, this is what radio can do. And if that TV shuts off, we're still talking, you know.
That's right.
So just to give her an idea of what radio can do, and then you can see it come back on the internet through YouTube, was fantastic. And it was a great family type experience. Maybe it'll get her to get her license.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's the fun we have with it. And like I say, the friendship you make with all the people that are on there is incredible. And the fun you have is incredible. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great system.
It's fun to build. It was a lot of fun building it, and we still add to it. And then we see little things we think may be wrong with it, so we kind of tweak a little bit here and there.
Sure.
But it does. And the nice thing about it is it does two things. It does the analog world. And if you want to come in on DMR, like we have Jim, N9RUT in Indianapolis, he comes in all the time on the DMR, and he talks to us all. He knows Lee. He knows myself. He knows several people here. He'll come on and he'll say, how you guys doing at 9RUT? And he's coming in through DMR. He doesn't have a big setup at his home, but he's got an HT and a hotspot, and away he goes. And you know, Jim now is talking to us on DMR into the 10 meter. But Jim surprises us now and again. This is the cool thing. Jim will come in and he'll go to a remote site in Newfoundland or somewhere or Florida, and he'll come in on 10 meters and he'll say, Mike, I'm at home, but I'm going in through a remote in Florida and I'm talking back to you on 10 meters. Jim is constantly checking the band conditions. He wants to know that we are going to, you know, we're going to talk or we're not going to talk. Where are we reaching on 10 meters today? So Jim kind of, you know, makes a few trips around to these different remote sites, and he picks us up and he gives me these reports. He says, you're coming in full quieting in Florida. Right on. So it's fun, you know, to see the digital and the analog actually be together.
That's cool. That's really cool.
I see Kim came in, K6YYL.
Yes, Kim, K6YYL.
About a year ago or two, something like that, when the repeater was first put on the air. We had some awesome conversations. She posted a YouTube video, and it's nice to see she's in there, and hopefully she still hears the machine.
Fantastic. She posted just last week listening to your machine. That was pretty cool. Okay, who's just taking a look at some of the comments here. So Josh, I wanted to go back to this one. Dan, I'm a super newbie, Kilo Echo 8, Sierra Golf Foxtrot. Welcome to the hobby, Dan. Nice to have you on board. All right, what else we got here? So let me see here. So Joshua was saying, I've been able to successfully receive the VE3MMX repeater on 10 meter, 6 meter, 2 meter from my home here in London. And by the way, you'll hear London a lot. Those of you folks in the States and around the world, we're not referring to London, England. We're referring to London in southwestern Ontario.
We've been able to successfely connect London to London several times. And we actually let them know that, yes, we have a Thames flowing through London, Ontario. And I met Josh for breakfast last week. He's a fine young fellow, and he's going to work towards getting his ham license, which is great.
Great.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Okay, here we go. Idaho Hillbilly, FMDX is awesome. It's what got him started into ham radio.
I've never worked it. That's great.
You know, since the repeater's been on the air, there have been almost every day somebody that came in on the 10 meter repeater and told me it was their very first FM contact on the 10 meter band.
Yeah, I believe
it is so inspiring to hear people bringing their rigs out and getting on and saying, I didn't know this was possible.
Yeah.
And the quality and the clarity of the audio. And so that we have to go around and tell some of the new hams, this is not Echolink, this is not All-Star. These people are coming in with radio frequency, the old guys' way, you know. And they get that. And then the next thing I would say is, if the internet goes down for any reason, this will still be here.
That's right.
So that's, you know, and again, things like POTA, you're doing a a bit of an exercise to say, we're going to go to a park, we're going to, bring the park online, and we're going to make some contacts. If we ever had any kind of an emergency, you won't necessarily go to a park, but you will be doing what you do in that park.
That's right.
Getting communications out, getting the mail through. That's our job.
Well, POTA, I think, in a lot of ways, it's a little off topic, but POTA in a lot of ways is really doing what Field Day is designed to do. It's to get out and exercise, portable operations. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's great because it gets people that idea of where to put the antenna, how to tune it up, and then where you can actually talk to with a remote rig setup like that, like something you put together fairly quickly. Yeah. Because, heaven forbid anything ever happens, that's going to be our job, is to get communications out. One of the best things I think that ever happened to ham radio was when Rogers went down that Friday and nobody had phones, and we all had radio. And some of our ham friends had no phones. And we're like, well, the radio's here. If you need anything, let me know. I'll phone it in or, whatever. But it kind of tells you that billions of dollars can be put in our communications infrastructure. It can still break down.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, guys, let's take a look here. Kim has come in. I have worked into so Kim is in California, outside near Los Angeles. I have worked into Mike's repeater many times from California, a few times from my house, and another time while camping at Silver Strand State Beach here in California. That is cool. We got go ahead.
Absolutely. Yes, Kim, she's got that big Kenwood radio and it talks.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sean, hi from Syracuse, New York. Thanks for joining us. Hey, this is Dan. This is the real newbie. You don't know where to start. What about local clubs? That would be the first thing out of my mind, is check and see if there's a local club. If not, I suppose, guys, what would you say? Check with the ARRL website?
I just start watching YouTube.
Your call sign?
Yeah, actually, are you in Canada or the U.S.? That's a good point. If you're in the U.S., or go to your national organization.
If you wake up one morning and decide you're going to, do this, just start watching YouTube. That's what I got to do. That's how I did it. YouTube was my own.
If you know anybody in the family that's a ham, or perhaps, look up the local club and maybe attend a club meeting and have some conversations, see what you can get started with. Because one thing about hams, they're helpful. They want to see, more hams get their license and have more people to join us at the table. Absolutely.
You know what? And our survival depends upon attracting new blood. So yes, absolutely. Let me just take a look here. Go down a little bit. Oh, here's Whiskey 4, Mike Papa Sierra. Great presentation. Thanks, Mike. Last cycle, I had a blast on 10 FM, 7.3 from Mark in North Carolina. Okay, I don't know. We've got Darren McLaren from St. John, New Brunswick. Hey, great. We got somebody from the East Coast in Canada here. Victor Echo 9, Alpha Echo. Rob Noakes, VE3PCP, was asking the 10-meter frequency. He says he doubt he would be able to hear it in Tiverton. What do you think, Mike?
You might.
By the way, Tiverton's on Lake Huron, guys.
Yeah, 29.640 is the output of the repeater. And it's a bit of a haul with some band condition, maybe. That's a bit of a trip for ground wave, 410.
Sean, Kilo Tango 2 Oscar, here's where the real chat is. Hi from Syracuse, New York. Hey, hi back. We're definitely going to need to try these Ontario stations. Thank you. Kyle McKinnon. Okay, so Kyle just chimed in. So just so everybody can make a note of this, 29.640 output, 29.540 input, no tone. All right. And here is Ron. VA3QH, just to illustrate the flexibility of Mike's system, I will often access the repeater via RF on DMR and work the world from the comfort of my living room.
And the good thing about this, it's actually bringing hams that were kind of quiet, thinking things got a little dead. This is something that I found interesting is when I came back into the hobby, repeaters were dead. And everybody's telling me things are so quiet, repeaters are completely dead. And I'm like, but, you know, I don't know why. What happened? Did they turn them off? Well, no, people lost interest. I said, oh, we're going to try to change some of that. So this guy over here playing with his phone, who came over for a visit, the 3SLO here, I'll let him say hello to you. Kirk has been out of the hobby for a long time. And I needed a couple of electronic parts, so I went over to his store and I got my parts. And I said, "What are you doing, sitting on your hands? We got crazy stuff going on here." So he got back into it, and Kirk is back into it with both feet. And it's like you can, you know, things you can do. You could do anything you put your mind to, and dropping the ball. Maybe some groups, clubs drop the ball. I don't know, but I picked it up and ran. And you know, when we built the system, we brought a lot of hams back up that thought things got really quiet. And we started to get interest back into it. So the London club has grown. It's very large. The St. Thomas club is doing good as well. A lot of experimenting happening. A lot of people taking that and saying, I can do that, you know, and talking to other hams and learning. So I hope it gives inspiration to people to hear all the hams, to hear the different conversations going on around the world right here, and to see how these technologies can actually work together to give you the big picture, you know, that you can do this stuff. So I've helped a lot of clubs with things, and I'm happy to do that. Even the Burlington Club, you know, reach out, I help. I don't mind. I'm just happy I have the knowledge that I can help. And I'm really happy that this system worked out the way it did. And again, I got here with experimentation. Nobody told me how to do this stuff. Friends helped. I did my part, they did their part, we put it together, we made it work. So to tell other people that they can do it or not, absolutely you can. Just, you know, ask questions, talk, and get in the hobby. It's the best hobby in the world.
It sure is. Hey, I love this comment from Scout. There's real wisdom here. If every ham that says the repeaters are dead would throw their call out on the repeaters once in a while, the repeaters wouldn't be dead. That's wonderful.
Does a Kerchuk count?
Well, I won't go too deep into the conversation, but we're in a world now where things are changing, where people, I don't know the best way to say it, they're limiting what they're saying. They're walking on eggshells every time they talk for fear somebody's going to take offense and hit the wall. Well, everything you say and do may possibly offend somebody. It's life. That's living your normal life. Things offend me. I just slough it off, say, yeah, well, it's your life, not mine. You know, everybody has a way of looking at things. I would say don't let that discourage you talking on radio. You know, absolutely talk. And of course, the best thing is, if you could agree to disagree, that's fine. I mean, one of my best friends who we lost over a year ago passed away. We would have conversations and people would say, you guys locked horns on a subject. Well, yeah, but we love each other like brothers. We're good friends. And we air things out and we each learn something. But we talk. We you know, we're not holding back. We chat. We've never you know, stepped over the line, and that's the best thing. So the good thing is you can openly have your conversation. Nobody's stopping you. I know some clubs have, you know, sort of little constitutional things say you can't do this on a repeater, you can't do that. Well, you know, if I can't call Trudeau a wingnut, then I'm not going to go on that repeater, because I will. However, you know, vulgarity, racism, things like that are not something that's going to happen. If it does, I turn the switch off. You know, we're not here for that. But we're human beings as well. And you need to be allowed to be a human being, and you need to be allowed to talk. Maybe that's why a lot of people use the repeater, because they don't have any fear. They can chat. We have all walks of life on the repeater. All people are all different places in life. If they need a hand, we'll help them. If, you know, if they want to be part of the conversation, they're going to be part of the conversation. You know, that's just it. So maybe people are losing the spirit. I don't know in other places. I'll tell you, it's alive and well here. We have a lot of people on the machine, and we have a lot of fun with it. And I can't imagine a day without chatting to somebody on there. It just wouldn't be a good day.
Mike, I've got to, so you have raised a really interesting point here. I mean, not only do you have this very impressive repeater system that you know you and some others have contributed towards building. Of course, sounds like you've really been a driving force behind it. But that unexpected, I don't know, to me it sounds unexpected, but maybe you had this idea in mind all along, that it is attracting new people into our hobby and certainly fueling interest. I'm hoping that there are people who either are on the stream now or will watch this after the fact that will say, hey, I wonder if our club can do this, or I wonder if I can do this. What words of advice would you have for somebody who might be sitting there thinking that?
How did the repeater get here? With following the very simple statement, you can do anything you put your mind to. If this will enhance your life and this will make you happy, it's something you want to do, go ahead and do it. You'll do it. I guarantee it. I did it at a younger age. I got into it, and it was a passion of mine, you know. And again, okay, the 10-meter repeater. I couldn't sit there and look in the backyard and say, nah, I can't do it. I'll say, I can put a tower over there. I can put that mass pipe over there. I can run the cable here. You know what? You can do it. Just believe in what you build, you know. And yeah, go ahead and do it. We're here waiting. Wouldn't it be more fun to be able to be part of the conversation rather than listen to us talk all night? You know, go ahead, get your license, get in there and talk to us. And that's the advice I gave to Josh, who was just in here earlier. I said, you know what? Get your license, talk to us. We're all here. The group that is on this repeater a lot of the times, the club repeaters, they're all friendly people. They're good people. And they're here for the same reason you are, because it's their passion and they love it. So that's all you really need to know. You can do it.
Fantastic. Hey, Mike, N2MAK says he'll be in Cleveland later this week. What is I know Cleveland's like right across the lake, but it's a bit of a haul, isn't it?
It depends what route Mike's taking, because if he is coming from, say, Syracuse or Rochester, Buffalo, running across Interstate 90, when he gets to Erie, Pennsylvania, he can hit N3 APP repeater, which is tied into this system. And if he runs out of range at the state line going into Ohio, a lot of the times, if you try the 2-meter or the 440 on here, you're in some fairly high ground on Interstate 90. You can get into this repeater for quite a ways, sometimes even all the way to Cleveland. So you could try from over Lake Erie to access the machine.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, if anybody out there has a question and you'd like to drop it in the chat, please do, because I think we're getting to, and Mike says he'll give it a shot. Nice to see it. And I like this too from Abdul. It's cool to see people so passionate. And boy,
it's
you are
something
right.
that brings us enjoyment in life. I think we need more of that the way the world is going.
Agreed. You know what? What is a repeater? It's something, it's a physical item which brings people together, right? It builds bridges rather than tearing bridges down. And
absolutely,
you put it better than I ever could have. Like, we need that, and we need that now.
Well, we've all been through lots of things in life. We all have our own stories, but it's good to know if you want to talk to somebody, they're going to be there. You know, somebody will be there to chat with you, and I think it's helped a lot of people get through bad days, things like that. I mean, somebody cuts you off when you're driving. First thing you do is you say it, and then you get on the radio and say, you know what just happened to me, and so you share it with somebody. The other thing I think it does is when you get into some conversations, and this has happened around the world and throughout the United States as well. Something happens here, they've had something similar happen there. You can chat about it, and you can feel that you're not alone in your experiences. So you're going to talk to somebody and they've had that happen. Like I say, I'll say, there goes Trudeau. And then someone says, well, Biden's doing, and everything. Yeah, okay, well, that's good. You're not alone, neither am I. So, it is what it is. It's just one way to share your life a little bit. And the ham radio group, even around the world now, look at how big the family has gotten with all the stations in Europe and England. And look at my daughter talk to somebody 4,000 kilometers away. She met a friend. She met another little young lady in England. The two of them got to talk. She would never run into that person on the street, but through ham radio she did. So it lets you know that you're not alone in the world, and that there's other people that share your passions and are happy to see you, talk and have conversation, even if it gets you through the day, whatever, it works.
Excellent.
Tim, thoughts?
It's also very complicated.
That it is.
No, I think that's awesome. I've never done, like I said, we were talking earlier, I've never done any real repeater work or anything like that on FM. It'll be fun to try.
It's really cool when it's FM and it's that clear.
If I ever get to turn my radio on again, sure.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, go ahead, Mike.
One of the cool things that happened to me was the two founding members. What is the name of that radio? It's made in California. A lot of people use it. Was his name Jerry? I'm trying to think. He was engineering the audio on one of his 10-meter or one of his HF rigs, and he came on to talk to me and asked me how the audio was on it. And I said, it's really clear. It's full bass, bottom end, top end clear. It's robust. It's good. And I'm trying to think. It starts with an E, Elecraft.
Oh.
He was working on the new Elecraft radio. He was engineering it from California, and he came on to the repeater to get an audio report. And I thought, now that's cool.
That's cool.
So yeah, you never know what comes in on that machine when the band is up. We even had an interesting conversation with one of our London Radio Club members. I reached out to them, not me. I'm not sure why, but we got a complaint on the 10-meter repeater. It was from somebody on the West Coast that wanted me to move the 10-meter repeater frequency because we were interfering with the local 10-meter repeater.
That's hilarious.
So they were on the probably, maybe picking up the local 10-meter repeater in an S5 or something, and here I come in 60 over, and I'll be gone tomorrow, don't worry. But it's
that's right.
And you get things like that where, well, if you shut your repeater, if I could talk to my local 10-meter, Kyle VE3MMX will tell you, there's occasions before I put the repeater receiver in London where he could be talking to somebody on another 2964 repeater. We wouldn't even know he was doing it because we're not hearing it. And, he's only 25 kilometers away from here. But if the other repeater signal is stronger than this one, go ahead and work it. Mm-hmm. So, I get some kind of funny stuff happening too now and again.
You got any pictures?
I didn't take many. I just took the one of the towers. What I can do is I can forward some to Tracy in the near future here, and he can put them on the site if you can, to get a little idea of how everything's put together.
Do you have any uploaded to your QRZ page? I don't remember seeing any there.
No,
okay.
I haven't, and I'll tell you, one of the reasons why is the equipment. I'm not going to say it's in an experimental mode, but I didn't take the time to put things in really fancy rack cabinets and put real labels on them and things like that. So things are put together properly, but they're not good looking, shall we say. Like the link radios are stacked, the voder's on top, it's a metal frame. It's all functionally working fine, but it wasn't meant to be sexy, Yeah,
that's why I don't stream from my shop. Believe me.
Yeah, and if you look where it is, I have a 30 by 40 workshop, and it's against the back wall. I have an auto lift in there to fix my cars, and it's actually at the back wall. So it's kind of, it's in a shop, but the cooling fans on the repeater and so on don't keep us up all night. You could
download,
so we're good.
You could download some stock photos or something. I mean, we'd never know.
No, that's right. We're all good.
Hey, I got one here. Just a couple things I want to address here. Give me 1 sec. I'll find it. It was right here. You do this chat every Monday. So the stream that Chris, Tim, and I do, we do it once a month, and our new night is Monday. We've switched it. We were doing Thursday nights for a while there, but once a month, typically the third Monday of the calendar month is when we're going to be doing it. But here's a good question for you, Mike. Can you discuss how much output power is in use on your 10-meter transmitter?
Sure. It's a old It's a 97 series transmitter, and it's probably mid 90s. It's an old Glen Air paging transmitter. Max output, 250 watts of power. We are running it at 175. Now, it's a paging transmitter. It's meant to run 250 all day long. But I pay the electricity on this thing, and we found that 175 is a nice balance point between somebody hearing the repeater at an S5 and getting back to the repeater at an S5. So, you know, the balance. So, you know, it's not an alligator repeater that's 20 over and nobody can get into it. I wanted to make sure that it stayed balanced. So with that power level, it balances perfectly. So that's the output power on the 10-meter transmitter.
How much?
I have a question
to run one of those.
Sorry, Tim. Tim, please go.
You know, just out of curiosity, I mean, how much does it cost to set up and run a repeater like that?
Well, it varies because a lot of the equipment we find in Dayton, like so if you go on K-Work and you look at a CDM, a CDM 1250 is maybe $80 or $100. If you go to Dayton, the guy's got a bin full of them, you buy them for $20.
Imagine for a minute I'm a cheapskate. Just imagine.
Well, a cheapskate, you'd probably, okay, building the antennas. For instance, a Mighty Fine Junk or MFJ version of the high gain penetrator now that'll bend in the wind, because we've got two of them around here that have bent in the wind. They're around $300 to $400 Canadian for one of those now. It's a bunch of aluminum. You could build the thing for about $30. So I built those antennas. I copied one and I built 3 more just like it. You know, so a lot of time involved. So, you know, if you don't get paid for your time, you could build this stuff much cheaper if you want to make it. So when COVID came along, I was working part-time. The other time I was doing what I do for the family, and then I was out making antennas and playing with the repeater because, of course, we had time on our hands. So, you know, that's when a lot of this actually happened during the COVID time where, well, why not? You know, I have a lot of scrap aluminum in my backyard. I've taken down several towers through the years, and I've got scrap antennas, and I've got all kinds of material. So I just started building and putting things together. I mean, if you were to go out and buy it, I don't know that it would work quite as good. I don't know it would be as durable. I mean, hardline, 100 feet of hardline is over $1,000. If I go to Dayton and buy a piece for $60, hey, we're great, you know. So for me, that's why I go to Dayton, the Hamvention every year. I find parts and pieces, and I know what I'm looking for. So I'll find these parts and pieces, and when I come home, that's when they go on the repeater. So if you were to go out, I mean, you could spend thousands of dollars if you were to go out and buy the stuff new and put it in. You'd have to be a gigantic, big club, you know, to have a big bank account to do all this. But for someone like me who's paying for this out of my own pocket, I'm going to buy yard sale stuff and I'm going to make it work, or I'm going to build antennas, you know, and I'm going to learn from it. And that's the fun of it. You know, you learn as well. So
for like a couple of grand, you could,
yeah,
if you wanted to.
Sure.
You could, what about
absolutely,
ongoing?
Grand, that'd be a lot of money. Yeah, that would work.
And every month your electricity bill is crazy, or?
I think I spend $50, maybe 30 to 50 a month, maybe if I'm lucky on it. It's not that bad.
Cheaper than an ARL membership, isn't it?
Well, there you are. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a contribution to the hobby, you know, and that's most importantly, you know, it's to keep the hobby going, to keep people incentivized to go get their license to, and what you hear on there, you know, especially lately when the cycle started to ramp up with the 10 meter, people can't believe what they're hearing, you know, and like Mike in Brantford, AZP, he's a recent new ham. When he's driving around in his work truck, he's got a radio on because he wants to hear the European DX come in, you know. So it definitely provides incentive for the unlicensed, and it gives people that have a license an incentive if they have a basic license to go get their advanced so they can get on the radios themselves and talk. So it does quite a bit of promoting the hobby.
Okay. Hey, Mike, I'm just going to see if I can get StreamYard to do this. Let's see. Wish me luck here. I want to see if I can present.
I opened my big mouth.
Screen. And yeah, here it is. Here we go. you were talking, and I'm going to take the conversation in a different direction just for a moment here, because I think this is very cool. Could you guys see a photo of a bridge?
Yep.
All right. Mike, you were on that bridge, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I was.
So you climbed up that. You were. Was it last week you were on the bridge?
Yes. In fact, let me grab my phone because I took a picture from that bridge of the Skyway Bridge, right level with the Skyway. So what I do for a living is AC, DC motor control. I repair inverters, DC, AC drives, all industrial electronics. That's my living. And I got called out to the Burlington Lift Bridge because they had a problem with one of the Danfoss VLT drives that lift that bridge up and down. So when I went to do the bridge repair, I went up to the 200-foot mark in the bridge where the mechanical room is to do the work on the drive. And I took my handheld, my HT with me. I actually talked to somebody in Nova Scotia from up there on the handheld through the 925 repeater, linked back to Shedden here. And I took some pictures, and I thought, nobody, unless you were in an airplane, you could not take a picture level with the road of the Skyway Bridge unless you were 200 feet beside it, because that's how high that bridge is. So I took the pictures just to say, hey, I was actually up on top of that lift bridge. And so I took that picture. So that, my work takes me to various different places all over the place. And that was one of them, up that lift bridge.
Just for people who may not be from the area, if you've ever driven from Buffalo to Toronto, you've driven past that bridge. That's on the highway. It's not the highway bridge itself, which is known as the Skyway Bridge. It's right next to it, and it's a landmark in this area. So I thought that was very cool.
Something that I actually asked the bridge master when I was there was, how many times per year, per season, does that bridge actually go up and down? And he said they do have a counter, and last year it hit 5,600 times. That bridge has to go up and down. Wow. That is a lot of lifting of a big bridge.
That is a big bridge.
Yeah. So it gets its workouts, but they're using Danfoss VLTs. They're good drives. They're tough as nails, and they'll keep that thing going.
Very cool. Hey, I wanted to just address one comment that came in here. So Rob, VE3PCP, Tracy, when we hear you on 160 meters? So I've got two answers to that. Number one, I live on a postage stamp sized lot, so not from the home location here. But I am trying to talk one of my buddies who builds HF antennas into making me a 160 meter antenna for field day. Negotiations are continuing. More to come on that, but maybe on field day I'll be able to make that happen. This guy I'm dealing with, he's a tough negotiator.
Yeah, he's a jerk. You ought to try to find somebody else.
Negotiations just took a turn.
All right, here. Do you know about this one, Mike? Here's one. Do you have any updates on the OHR repeater at the 401 and Highway 19? I don't know anything about this.
The OHR repeater, that's Dave's repeater. Yeah, of course it's in operation. Yeah. It was down for just a little while they were doing a firmware update on the controller, but it's back operating. Yes.
Okay, good stuff. All right. Wow, this has been awesome. This has been fantastic.
Mike, just so you know, I'm listening to you here in Connecticut. Not hearing anything, but
yeah, there's actually people talking on the repeater right now.
Everything above 30 megahertz, and
it's always keyed up. It seems it's on air. Are you picking it up on the 10 meter band?
No, I'm listening to 29640, and I'm not hearing it.
Okay.
And I got the beam pointed your way, so.
Yeah, it will probably come back in the springtime towards Connecticut. If you were on the West Coast, you'd probably be picking it up right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Connecticut, yeah.
Or maybe in the daylight hour. Maybe I'll try it tomorrow.
Yeah. Or if I go check the dilithium crystals in the transmitter, maybe they're weak. I can turn them up a little.
Hey, Philip, down in Georgia, go for the gold. He's talking to me about 160 meters, being on a small lot here. Go for the gold and build a 160 mag loop. that's a wonderful idea. Listen, Philip, I know this engineer down in Georgia who might be able to give me a hand with that. So
Actually, you know what? If you're serious, if you're serious about that, and you want to get on 160 meters on your postage stamp, really easy. There's do what I did the first time I wanted to, because I wanted to work 160 meters too when I first started. Maybe it was in the dead of winter, and when everybody gets on 160 in the long nights and stuff like that. There's a guy on eBay who makes these slopers, and they're I forget exactly how long, 80 feet maybe. And it's a giant coil with a wire sticking out of it. And I hung it from my chimney down to the ground and just did a slope. And I ended up working all states on
really
55 with it. Yeah.
Digital modes.
It was I needed some tuning, but it was okay.
That's
trouble with
pretty
160 meters is getting stuff up in the air to a respectable height.
Yeah.
This wasn't bad. And I think your backyard kind of drops off into a ravine, right? Isn't that like the last picture I saw?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that drop? About 20 feet, 23? 30
Yeah,
feet?
something like that.
Yeah. So, and two-story house, right?
Yep.
Okay. So from the top of from your chimney or something like that onto the bottom of that ravine should be perfect. If you wanted to do something quick and dirty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you could have something custom built.
Good suggestion. Good suggestion. Thanks for that, Tim. Hey, Philip from Georgia, our engineer friend from Georgia, comes back and says, I'm not cheap. I think he's just priced himself out of my market. But
notice
how are we doing, guys?
Notice he said he wasn't cheap. He didn't say you get what you pay for, right? That's a different thing.
Well, that's a good point. That's an engineer covering his tracks. I mean, he's got to sign off on this thing, right, when all the work's done. So, Chris, you would know about that. Another engineer over there. Anything else? So we're getting to the point where we could probably put a bow on this one, Mike.
Sure.
What haven't you said? What haven't you talked about that you think you might be able to? You might want to pass on to folks.
Just reiterate the message that if you have interest in the hobby, go for it. And that you can do anything you put your mind to. Those are things that have got me through life and, have not deterred me from doing what I'm doing and learning what I'm learning. And then I share it with people and help them too. Have conversations, have a good time with your friends. When we came home from Dayton, the first time ever, we linked the repeater through DMR on the Sunday. We came home on the Saturday. On the Sunday, we were talking. I heard VA3HP talking to V3PPO, and HP was a very, very seasoned ham. Had awards, plaques on the wall, everything. And he was saying how well the system worked, and he said it was flawless. He said you guys did such a great job with that DMR link up from Dayton. It was great. I really enjoyed it. The next morning, his wife found him at the radio bench. He passed, heart attack overnight, and he gave me incentive to do this stuff, and he was a very good friend. So enjoy the people that you have in your life while you have them. Do the things you want to do while you're here, and just have a good time, because the way the world is looking at times, it can get you discouraged. Get on the radio, talk to us. We'll have some fun, because life's too short. So go out and just do it. Get your call, and like I say, you can do anything you put your mind to. Believe me.
Fantastic. Well put. Thank you very much. Tim, any closing thoughts for us before we put a bow on this one?
I can't top that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that was a good one.
All of that. just play me off,
Agreed.
How about you, Chris? Anything to add?
Play me off,
I
Joey.
agree. I agree with that. I'll put my pastor's hat on and agree with that one.
Good stuff. Okay. Mike, thank you very much. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. And all of the people that you have positively impacted with your work with the repeater, who joined us tonight and will be looking at this stream after the fact. Thanks for yourself and for all of their attendance and eyeballs on this. We appreciate it. The system you have built is a tremendous resource, as you have indicated, not just for the hams in the southwestern Ontario region, but for the world. and you've got fans from around the globe, and the fact that you've got 16,000 hits on your QRZ page says it all.
That's crazy.
You have made a serious impact, a positive one, on our hobby. So thanks for all that you do.
Well, it's for everybody here. It's for all of us.
Good stuff. Okay, gentlemen around the table here, hang on. We'll put a bow on this one. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, who watched us live, who if you added comments. Thank you very much for participating. For anybody who's watching this after the event, thanks very much. Really appreciate it. Until next time. 7-3, everybody.